Greetings, one and all. Often cited as the second best hockey league in the world behind the National Hockey League, the Continental Hockey League has seen its 2017/18 regular season come and go as the months have rolled by, just like any other hockey league out there. Fresh off a gold medal victory at the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang by the KHL-led Olympic athletes from Russia, the KHL playoffs are well underway, with the top 16 teams from the regular season battling it out for the Ultimate League trophy for hockey players outside of North America. It is, of course, the highly coveted Gagarin Cup. Even though the result of the playoffs is yet to be decided, what if I told you that this KHL season may have been rigged from the very beginning, and the winner has already been decided before the playoff final series takes place? A pretty bold claim, huh? Well, a Twitter thread by Slava Malamud, who has almost 20,000 followers and is Twitter's official Russian sports writer, according to his Twitter bio, is the person to make these hugely controversial claims about the KHL. He claims that the entire KHL 2017/18 season has been fixed from the start and everyone around the league knows it. But why does he think that? Well, let me take you through this theory and the method behind his madness to see if there is any truth to his claims. I will be paraphrasing many of the tweets from his Twitter thread on the subject in this video, but I will leave a link to the whole thing in the description down below in case you guys want to read it for yourself and read everything that Slava Malamud has to say. Also, whilst I will provide my initial responses or thoughts to each piece of information that comes up, I will leave my overall opinion on the whole topic till after I have explained Slava Malamud's theory in full. So, as I now take you through this theory, think to yourself, has the KHL's 2017/18 season been rigged? According to Slava Malamud, the entire 2017/18 KHL season has been set up to allow Russia's SKA St. Petersburg to win the league and the playoff championship. Apparently, this is because SKA is the favoured team of Russian President Vladimir Putin, who will see himself and his friends benefit greatly both politically and financially if SKA take home complete victory. So why has this all been done? Well, Putin has spent the entire 17/18 KHL season campaigning for the 2018 Russian presidential election, which of course he very much wants to win. And what better way to show how great of a leader to the masses you are and project your influence onto even the most politically lazy of the Russian populace than by watching the team heavily backed by the Russian president sweep all the trophies and awards this season. Seeing Putin's team at the top of the standings shows that Putin can put together a strong and powerful team. And people like to back strong and powerful teams led by strong and powerful people. Especially when the job up for grabs is one that needs a strong and powerful person to do correctly. So we know why this has been done, but how has this been done? Well, according to Slava Malamud, SKA have been seemingly allowed to ignore the KHL salary cap since the team is full of highly talented, highly paid Russian superstars, many of whom were part of the Russian hockey team that won gold at the 2018 Winter Olympics. Of the 25 players in the Olympic athletes from Russia Olympic team, 15 of them have played for SKA St. Petersburg this season. 15 out of 25. Yeah, this team is really stacked to the teeth with Russian stars. Also, SKA's salary is allegedly 6 times that of an average KHL team, and due to their close links to Putin, their team gets priority on every star player who considers joining the KHL. Hence why their roster includes the likes of Pavel Datsuk, Ilya Kovalchuk, Nikita Gusev, and Slava Voinov. 3 out of those 4 were long-time NHL players. These factors, if true, would obviously put SKA in a good position to contend for trophies every season, as they would be getting preferential treatment from the Russian president, which is great for SKA, but incredibly unfair for the rest of the KHL's teams. With regards to the salary cap though, according to an article published on the KHL's website on the 31st of May 2017, the salary cap for the 2017/18 KHL season was set at 900 million Russian rubles, approximately 16 million US dollars. However, the article states that the cap is a soft salary cap, meaning that teams may exceed the salary cap figure, but will have to pay luxury tax penalties of 20% on any spending over the salary cap. This luxury tax money goes towards the league's stabilisation fund, to keep teams that are struggling financially afloat, and the money can only be spent with the approval of the KHL Board of Directors. This means that a highly popular and highly profitable team like SKA can technically spend as much as they want and go as far over the salary cap as they want to form the best team possible, as it technically isn't against the rules, but it isn't exactly the honourable or the good thing to do, as it means a team that has lots of money can spend as much of that money as they want and put together a team full of all-stars, whereas teams that are struggling can only spend a small percentage in comparison and will often put together a worse team, meaning they will most likely be beaten by the better funded teams and miss out on any sort of silverware simply because they can't spend over the salary cap. The odds are already stacked against the teams in smaller markets before the season starts with this kind of salary cap method. A salary cap is supposed to make the overall league more balanced and more fair, but a soft salary cap doesn't really do that, which makes me question the whole point of it, as it instills the incentive of whoever has the most money and can pay all the superstars what they feel they are worth will more often than not win all the trophies in the league. In this case, that team with the most money is Vladimir Putin's favourite SKA. Also, as SKA is Putin's team, many of its players, according to Slava, are rabid Putin fans and have taken part in Putin's past campaign rallies for the Russian presidential election, which takes place today on the 18th of March. Many of the players are actively invested in this whole plan and want to help Putin win the election as much as possible, as it benefits them in the long run by being part of Vladimir Putin's special club. Now, one of the problems with this whole thing is that the whole plan hasn't exactly been disputed by the KHL. In fact, quite the opposite. According to Slava, the KHL's official explanation for keeping many of the country's best players on one team sounds a little like this, quote, "Allowing all the best players to concentrate in one team has created unique chemistry that transitions seamlessly to the Olympic squad. Making the KHL season easy for them has safeguarded against injuries and bad morale. This is why we won gold." End quote. With this statement, the KHL have basically admitted that the 2017/18 season has been a fix all along in order to win the Olympic gold medal. They have practically admitted to everybody that they have sacrificed the current KHL season's integrity and competitiveness from the very beginning and instead focused on a Russian gold medal in the men's hockey tournament. Just think about that for a second. Think about that, folks. Keeping the best Russian players together all season has meant that they have created great chemistry and reduced the risk of injury for the rest of the year and into the Olympics, where the majority of the players, as we've already said, on the Russian roster have played for SKA this season. 15 out of the 25, folks! I have to admit, this does sound pretty suspicious to me, ladies and gents. I don't know about you. But even though the league has supposedly been set up in SKA's favour, there is potentially one other team that would be allowed to win the KHL playoffs instead. You know, just in case something out of the ordinary, something that nobody could have predicted, happens to SKA. That team is CSKA Moscow. Everything could still stick to Vladimir Putin's plan if Moscow did win the playoff title, as Vladimir Putin could base their victory on the team's long and lasting legacy in the Russian capital, and Putin could play on the patriotic value of a victory in the capital city and the heart of the country. However, this is definitely not the ideal choice, as Putin and those who have helped orchestrate this situation would benefit much more financially and politically with a victory by St. Petersburg. To further add fuel to this fire though, at the time of this recording, the first round of the KHL playoffs has recently finished, with the league's Eastern Conference rounding up its series about a week after the league's Western Conference. Of the first round series, 3 out of the 8 were 4-game sweeps, all of which were in the Western Conference. Those 3 winners in those 4-game series? Lokomotiv, CSKA Moscow, and none other than SKA St. Petersburg. The fact that those last 2 teams swept their way to the second round of the playoffs is no surprise considering everything that has been mentioned already if you believe any of it. Well then, plus the talent they have on their rosters and the opponents they were playing against made it easier for them than most because they weren't exactly the toughest opponents, and CSKA and SKA were 2 of the highest seeds in the playoffs. However, it wasn't that easy for Putin's SKA to go through to round 2 of the playoffs. SKA played against Sevastopol Sharapovets, a team with nothing to lose and nothing to fear because they are a team on the brink of collapse. They are a down-and-out franchise who are struggling to make ends meet due to poor finances. They are a team surrounded by steel mills and frozen wasteland in the middle of nowhere, trying to keep their eventual demise at bay for as long as they can. Perhaps a first-round series victory against SKA would have been a big enough scandal to stop the league from shutting down their team and give them another chance, considering the incredible season they have had under the current circumstances. They've made the playoffs and they're struggling financially. If that's not a great story enough already, I don't know what is, folks. But based on everything we have said previously, this couldn't happen for Vladimir Putin. It would ruin his plan. This desperate team needed to be dealt with immediately. Sevastopol made it tough for SKA, who really had to work hard to sweep the series, with 2 of the games taking overtime to decide the victor. But ultimately SKA were successful. Now, whether that was simply due to the bounces going SKA's way, or the lopsided penalties against Sevastopol that St. Petersburg were able to capitalise on, or the controversial game-winning goals that may or may not have been offside, I'll leave you to decide. Go and look that up yourself, folks. But the biggest problem and the most tragic thing about this whole situation is that every Russian player, official, media personnel and even fan, every single person in Russia seems to know that this plan for SKA to win is taking place. They all know that it's happening, apparently. Even worse is that all the KHL bosses have announced that this system has proven effective and beneficial for all the top brass and should continue in the future. This is a pure example of politicians putting personal gain over the integrity of the sport itself, which history has shown always leads to negative results for everybody but the top brass. The leaders and the politicians might get lots of fancy and expensive things from the money or the job they gain from implementing the system, but the sport and the league itself will just end up being the laughingstock of the hockey world. And any respect there was for the Continental Hockey League, if any of this is true, would be down in the gutter. The great thing about sports is that you never know what's going to happen until you see it with your own eyes. All the predictions by experts mean nothing once the puck is dropped. But the spontaneous and exciting nature of hockey is ruined if the ending of the story has already been written. Which sounds like that's what has happened with the KHL this season, if what Slava has said is true. Now, in terms of what I think about all of this, I definitely think there is some truth to what Slava has said. Of course, this is one man's word and opinion against the entire Continental Hockey League, and Slava rarely provides any links to information or evidence to support his wild claims. So just make sure you take all of what has been said in this video with a pinch of salt. It could all be true, and Slava could be exposing the next Russian sports conspiracy. Or it could all be false. A well thought out story inspired by one man's discontent or even hatred for SKA's success this season. When a controversy, when something like this comes out, everybody automatically goes, well, somebody's done it. Oh, somebody said it. It must be true. We have to look at the other side as well. It might well be true, but we have to look. This might all be completely fabricated by Slava. We don't know. Perhaps we'll never know the truth behind all of this, but it's certainly a debate worth having considering the history of Russia and sports over the last few years. Admittedly, I myself did start following the KHL properly this season as I wanted to broaden my hockey horizons, and I will admit that I am an SKA fan, but that's because one of my favourite players of all time, Pavel Datsyuk, plays for St. Petersburg. Plus, I recognised more names on their roster than any other KHL team when I was looking for one to follow. That said, This whole situation has certainly made me question whether SKA St. Petersburg are a team I should follow going forward into next season. If this is true, I want to distance myself from them a little bit. If it's false, then I'm just going to carry on as I was before. But personally, I definitely think there is something going on behind the scenes in the KHL. Whether it's anything that Slava has said, I don't know. But I think there's something going on behind the scenes there. The fact that the KHL seemingly haven't even tried to deny any of these accusations, and pretty much on the flip side have come in and said, yeah, you kind of did, yeah, we did do that. They've potentially put international success over the integrity of their domestic league, and that makes me disappointed, to be honest. It just makes me want to take a step back from the whole thing and not follow the league, or even follow SKA as much as I was, because it seems like it's all been far too planned out for me. I don't want a team to win a championship because the league has been designed that way or has been predetermined for their victory. I want a team to win because they worked harder, trained harder, and played harder than any other team. Watching your favourite team hoist the trophy at the end of the season means absolutely nothing if everything was orchestrated for them to win it all along. Trophies and respect are earned, not given. To be honest, I really, really hope that none of this is true. I really do. But I think anyone would be silly to not even have that little thought in the back of their head, considering everything else that's happened with Russia and sports over the last few years, to go, maybe there is some truth in that. I think you'd be silly to not have that little nagging thought in the back of your head. Whether it's this, the doping scandal involved with Project Icarus in the 2014 Winter Olympics, to the potential involvement in the US presidential election and rigging it or stuff like that. Putin and other Russian officials have allegedly been known to meddle in otherwise non-political affairs if there's something for them to be gained from it. Whether it be money, power, or sporting success on an international stage. I want to give Russia the benefit of the doubt here, I really do. Because I don't want to accept that the sport of hockey, that I love more than any other sport and I respect greater than anything else in this world, is capable of committing such a dirty and vile act. But I've got to be honest, the body of evidence and their past history is stacked completely against them here. So if it turns out that none of this is true and it's been a complete fabrication of Slava's mind, forget everything that's been said in this video and carry on as you did before, whether you were a KHL fan or not, whether you were an SKA fan or not. But if it is true, congratulations Russia, congratulations Continental Hockey League. Your beloved president may stay in power, and him and his friends may benefit politically and financially, but your league has now become the laughingstock of the hockey world if any of this is true. And there you go. I now want to pass the question off to you guys. Do you think that the 2017/18 KHL season has been rigged, or do you think this is all a convoluted conspiracy theory? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.